We have a video tonight of a jail fight that ended with a guard being taken to the hospital. It happened earlier this month at the Metropolitan Detention Center. You can see a group of inmates gathered in the day room when inmates begin to fight. When the camera moves back, some inmates start scattering as others continue to fight. Guards rush in to try to break up the fight. That night, our cameras caught one of the guards being loaded up into an ambulance. Here that video is. Video later shows a line of inmates all in handcuffs against the wall. No word on if any of them were charged or what kind of injuries the guard had.
Y'all won't believe what's happening in the dark and dangerous underworld of the Metropolitan Detention Center. Even the mightiest stars can come crashing down. And honey, Diddy never saw this storm coming. Can you believe it? The word on the street is that he's having a complete meltdown behind bars during the new year. And just wait until you hear this. One of his accusers just got permission to stay anonymous. The tea is scalding, darling. Picture this, the legendary 55-year-old Sean P. Diddy Combs now sitting in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. The charges, absolutely shocking. Federal racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation for prostitution. I mean, can you even? Just thinking about it gives me chills. Diddy, that name used to mean everything. Unstoppable success, untouchable influence, and darling, the luxury. Those Beverly Hills mansions, private jets, million-dollar parties. He wasn't just living the dream, he was the dream. But now, oh, how the mighty have fallen. The self-proclaimed king of the world is sitting in what judges call a barbaric facility, allegedly terrified for his life. The irony is just, I can't even.
He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass back. So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering. But I don't think that he can see himself in a cage. I don't think he can see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars, he could probably help them.
Now grab your seats because this story is wild. How did someone who basically owned the music, fashion, and culture world end up in Brooklyn's notorious Metropolitan Detention Center? And honey, wait until you hear about this alleged beatdown that has social media absolutely losing it. Let's spill all this piping hot tea. Can you believe it's been nearly a month? A month since P. Diddy got those federal charges dropped on him like a bomb. That's 30 whole days in one of America's most notorious jails. The questions everyone's asking. Is our Grammy-winning superstar getting the VIP treatment? And this is the juicy part. Are those whispers true about him being terrified of getting attacked or even poisoned? Let me take you back, sweetie, because this story is everything. Diddy wasn't just a person. He was a movement. From those chart-topping hits to revolutionizing hip-hop fashion with Sean John, everything he touched turned to gold. Bad Boy Records? Honey, that wasn't just a record label. It was an empire churning out legends. But here's where it gets dark. We need to rewind to the 1990s when Diddy was climbing that fame ladder after creating Bad Boy Records, home to icons like the notorious B.I.G. But apparently, that's also when the horror allegedly began. Multiple women in New York claimed they were sexually assaulted by him during this time. The bomb dropped in November last year when Joy Dickerson Neal and Liza Gardner filed separate civil suits. Gardner's story will make your skin crawl. She says it happened in 1990 at a work event where Diddy allegedly assaulted her and choked her until she lost consciousness. And then there's Joy Dickerson Neal's 1991 nightmare at Syracuse University. She claims Diddy not only assaulted her, but recorded it and shared it with others. I literally can't even. But here's the thing, none of this came out then. Instead, Diddy's star just kept rising. By the late 90s, he was dropping his own tracks and snatched up 2 Grammys in '98. But hold on to your hats because next comes the infamous New York nightclub shooting. 3 people shot, thankfully not fatally. Diddy, Shine, Jennifer Lopez, yes, J-Lo, and Jamal Barrow all got cuffed. J-Lo dodged those charges, but Diddy and Shine went to trial. Diddy walked free, but Shine? 10 years behind bars. And now people are saying Shine took the fall for Diddy and that he forced J-Lo to carry an illegal weapon. The drama never ended.
Allegations against the rapper began to pile up in 2023 with his ex-partner and R&B singer, Cassie, aka Cassandra Ventura, filing a lawsuit on November 16 alleging she was sexually assaulted and beaten throughout the course of their relationship. The case was settled a day after the lawsuit was filed, but it prompted multiple other people to come forward with similar claims of alleged misconduct from Combs. Combs was hit with another lawsuit on November 23 of 2023, with Joy Dickerson Neal alleging she was drugged and sexually assaulted by Combs while attending college in 1991. Then, on the 26th of February 2024, in New York, Diddy's producer, Rodney Little Rod Jones, alleged the media mogul and his associates subjected him to unwanted sexual advances and forced him into relations with hired sex workers, all while working for Combs between September of 2022 and November of 2023. Little Rod also alleged that Diddy regularly hosted, quote, sex trafficking parties with underage women. 1 month after Little Rod's lawsuit, the feds made their move.
2 homes owned by rapper P. Diddy in the United States have been raided as part of an investigation into sex trafficking.
Now, obviously, Diddy's denying everything. He's calling these allegations completely baseless and has assembled a legal dream team that would make those Suits lawyers jealous.
Diddy! Extra has obtained the new 31-page document Diddy's lawyers just filed with the court, pleading their case to win his freedom on a $50 million bail. Inside the papers, Diddy's lawyers insist he is not a flight risk, calling him one of the most recognizable people on earth. His attorneys revealed he paid off the $18 million he owed on his $48 million South Florida mansion in August, 2 weeks before his arrest, so it could be used for collateral. They insist if Combs is allowed out before trial, a third-party security force would monitor him 24/7 by GPS, with video cameras on him the entire time if necessary. He would also have no access to phones or the internet. 2 other judges have already denied Diddy's release. His appearance before a judge is the latest high-stakes, high-dollar legal maneuver. It comes after dozens of new accusers made disturbing new accusations and after the government announced its jaw-dropping allegations against him.
The freak-off sometimes lasted days at a time.
But let me paint you a picture of MDC Brooklyn, because this isn't your average timeout corner, honey. Federal judges have called it inhumane. We're talking overcrowding, violence, conditions that would make your stomach turn. Even the toughest criminals struggle to survive in there.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it. This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown over the holidays, at least according to one source.
And now, imagine Sean Diddy Combs in there. For someone who's used to personal chefs and living behind gates in massive mansions, this change has been absolutely brutal.
When you talk about what we normally call special housing unit, so there's two types of detention in terms of being in special housing. One is administrative detention, and I'll go back to that point here in a second, and then disciplinary segregation. Disciplinary segregation is for individuals who have been went through a disciplinary process for an infraction of the rules and regulations of the institution, whether it be in a fight or any other acts that go against the policies of the institution, the orderly and safe running of the institution, and that is for a specific period of time. What Mr. Combs may be in as far as administrative detention is when someone is under investigation for a possible infraction against the rules of the institution, or they could be in protective custody because they may fear of their life, which is a question probably would have been asked of him once he was in his intake process. Additionally, we're talking about someone who was high profile, who was just arrested here less than 3 weeks ago. So in terms of who are the other inmates in the institution that may or may not be someone who could be a threat towards him, in terms of the possible alleged victims, could they have ties to the victims, in terms of his discovery that he's going to need to look at with his attorney. Inmates are allowed to have a certain amount of legal materials in their cell, and all this alleged discovery that he's going to have to go through. You don't want to have other inmates having access to his cell to go in and take a look at that discovery, because there's a certain amount of legal materials that each inmate is allowed to have in their cell. So there's several factors that come into play when it comes to administrative detention. And more than likely, the agency has the rights and duties and privileges as holding persons under the custody of the U.S. Attorney General to run a safe and humane institution, and whatever is necessary to be done to maintain the safety of the facility and those in their custody and care, they will do that.
The living conditions? Horrific. Picture this. Dormitory-style cells packed with double the people they should hold. Food that barely qualifies as edible, and medical care. Might as well forget it exists. One judge called it a petri dish of violence. I mean, could you die? But here's the real tea. For Diddy, it's not even the conditions he needs to worry about most. It's his fellow inmates.